Okay, yeah, Cyril. Good evening. I don't know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, please, can you speak up? Wait. Okay. Okay, Cyril, you can go ahead and mute yourself. Hello, Cyril, if you can hear me, please. Can you unmute yourself, please? I don't know if he's able to unmute himself, but he's still muted. See now. Okay. Hello, Cyril, you can unmute yourself. I have
all right,
again,
all right. All right, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Can you hear me? All right. So good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, wherever you are joining us from. How many persons do we have here? All right, good evening, Eke Timothy. Good evening, Victor Pelumi, Bolupe Taiwo. Good evening, Yemi Odeyemi. Good evening, Emmanuel Ojo. And good evening, Emanuela. So today's class will be discussing about Vue. So before then, I believe we've had previous classes on Vue.
Cyril, if you can hear me, there's an echo from your end.
Oh, how about, is it sounding well now?
Okay, that's better.
Is it better now?
I don't know, there's another device, so we're having an echo back.
Okay, I don't think, it's not from my end. I'm just connected with one device yet. I have not connected with my system. I'm about connecting with my system, but I don't know if it's coming from someone else. Is it from me? How is it sounding now? Is it better now? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, okay. So I was asked, student answer, I hear from the students like a feedback of what they've learned so far, maybe the last session, the last class on Vue.
Okay, guys, so for the rest people on the call, so you can just drop a message on the chat on what you've learned. So your instructor will have an idea on how far you've gone on Vue. So please do that now. Thank you.
Okay, I'm still waiting for a response. Okay, notwithstanding, we'll be discussing about some features in Vue. Okay, we have learned how to install and set up Vue using CLI and Byte. All right, amazing, nice one. Okay, nice one, AK Timothy, nice one. Okay, Yemi said we learn about Vue structure. We learned about Vue structure. Okay, that's nice. Great, amazing. Okay, who else? I think, okay, this fine. So have you guys what you've learned? You've learned how to install. So I believe you have what I am about to show you guys. To be very interactive. It's just looking as if I'm the only one talking. Emanuela.
Okay, yes, sorry, we can hear you. Most of them, they are muted, so they can't really speak. So please, the class is going to be an interactive class.
Oh, Emanuela.
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry. Can you hear
So,
me?
like, I'm asking, is it possible? I can hear you. I was asking, is it possible for us to make the class interactive so that when I ask, I could get their response, or maybe if they can respond ASAP, maybe via the chat. That would be nice. So that it won't just look as if I'm talking to myself alone.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me, please. Yes, so most of them are muted, so they can't really speak. So please, if you are asking a question, please always go through the chat. So they are going to drop their responses on the chat. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay. All right. Okay. I see. You guys are muted. You can respond through the chat. Okay. All right. Okay. That's amazing. So first, we'll be discussing about setup. Does anyone know what setup function is in VueJs? What is the setup function in VueJs? So if you know what it is, you can respond using the chat. Okay, AK Timothy said, no, I have not heard of it. I don't know, sir. Okay, all right. So now who said something about the structure, view structure? So Yemi Odeyemi, you said something about the view structure. So in view structure, what are the things? What are the basic things in the structure of a view app? Like for instance, what's the first thing you need to consider when you're trying to create your view app? What's the structure like? Exactly, you have the template. Yes, Yemi. So after the template, what else? The script. Okay, nice. Yes, you have the template, you have the script. Then what else again? There's one more thing I think you still have again. The style. Yes, 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 yes. So you have the template, you have the script, and you have the style. Exactly. Is there any other thing again in the structure of a view app? Is there another thing again we have in the structure of a view app? Let's see. Methods and data. Okay, you think methods and data. So methods and data, they are all in the script section of your view app. So that's just like the basic things you have, the basic structures you have in your, let me say the basic three sections you have in your view app. Okay. So 1 minute, I'm trying to join with my system, my PC, so that I can share my screen. Hello, did you get that?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I would want to join the meeting with my PC so that I can share my screen. So you give me like a minute, 60 seconds.
All right.
Hello, Cyril. Hello, Cyril. Can you hear me? Ella, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Cyril still on this call.
Okay, let me check.
I am on this call.
Can't
I
hear.
can hear.
Okay, all right. I stopped hearing you.
Oh, yes. I said I'm trying to join the meeting with my PC, my laptop, so that I can share my screen.
Okay, all right. I just admitted it. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So I think I'm joining. Okay, so going further from here. Oh, my laptop is echoing. Sorry.
I think maybe you can mute one of the devices. Maybe. I think that should be better, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I will want to mute the laptop. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, it's better now. So please, you can share your screen. Thank you.
All right. So can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but we can't see your screen. Are you already sharing your screen, please?
No, I've not started sharing. So I want to share the screen now. So guys, we'll be making use of codesandbox.io. I don't know if you guys know it. So we can leverage it to build our VueJs app online. So do you guys know of Code Sandbox? If you know of it, respond in the chat box. All right, amazing. All right, so can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. So from what I just explained, I said we will be leveraging Code Sandbox to carry out some of the examples of the things we'll be learning today. So let me get this.
Hello, Ella. Are we having network issues?
I think so.
Okay. Let's see if it's something that I can fix.
Because the screen went off, so let me check. Okay, yes, I think he's having issues with his network because he just left the call. So I'm thinking it's network issue. So guys, apologies, please. So the instructor is having network issues, so we'll be joining the call shortly. Thank you, guys. Okay, yeah, I think it's back. Siri, please, if you can hear me, please, can you share your screen again and continue with your class? So I think your network is not really strong. So we could not hear you again. Apparently you left the call and we could not see your screen. So please, if you can speak up, please speak up and share your screen so you can continue with your class. Thank you. Okay, hello, Cyril. Yeah, I can see that you are muted. Please, can you speak up? Because we cannot hear you. I don't know if you are speaking from your end. But please, if you can hear me, please, if you can't speak, if you can't hear you, please indicate from the chat. Because I can see you are muted. I don't know if you are speaking, but we can't hear you and we can't see your screen. Thank you. Okay, we can see your screen now, but we can't hear you. We can't hear you, please. Please, can you speak up? We can only see your screen, but we can't hear you. Or am I the only one? I don't know if it's from my end.
Ella, I can hear you. So it's from his
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, can you see his screen? But you can't hear him,
I
right?
can see his screen, but he can't. Thank God. Please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Please, you can continue with your class. Thank you.
All right, okay. And can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, great, great. So guys, so in this class, we will be, today I'll be taking us on how to use some of the following features I listed here. So if you can see the right-hand side of my screen, it is assumed to be my web app, like the web app I am building with VueJs. So I don't know, acknowledge if you can see the screen, the right-hand side of the screen. Can you see it? Hello?
Yes, we can. We can.
Yes, so please also, I will need somebody to always acknowledge with the voice, even if they respond via the chat, so that I will know that you can like read out the response on the chat for me, Emanuela, or the other person on the other account.
Yes, we would.
Like, is it clear?
Yes, we would. We would. You can go on.
All right, amazing. All right, so on the left-hand side of the screen is the source code, like the code, my Vue app. And if you can see from here, I have the basic 4 elements that we need: the template, which is this, then the script, which is this. I minimized it, I collapsed each of them. And in the script is where I have all of the codes, and then the style you get. So if you open this, you notice that we have something called name. That is the name of this particular component, which is hello world, right? And after the name, we have another keyword called props. Props basically mean, let's say call it properties of values that you will be passing to this particular component named hello world. Meaning wherever you want to use this component you call hello world, you need to pass this property called message. And if you don't pass this property called message, your app is going to return an error because it is expecting this property called message. So if you check on this other side of my screen, there's a place, there's a page, a file called app.vue. In that app.vue is where I imported this component called hello world. So I don't know if you can see my cursor. Can you see my cursor, Emanuela?
Yes, we can. We can.
All right, amazing. All right, let me take this out from my Vue app. So if you notice here on this template, we have our parameters, which is, let me delete this. Let me delete this. So if you notice here, there is a notification here on the footer in my console. There's one notification. So basically, the props in the other component, which is the hello world component, which is this, is the property like value that is supposed to be expected whenever you are trying to import a template, a component rather, not a template. So in this my app.vue, I want to make use of a component. I don't know if they've taught you how to import components. Have they? If you've learned that, please respond. Yes, I have learned how to import components. Just respond, let me know. Is anybody responding? Oh, how I wish I can hear other students. I'm just hearing myself. I don't think so. No, I don't think so. We are here with you. No, I meant, have you learned how to import components in VueJs? Tendo? No. All right, amazing. So we need to learn that so that I will not just fast forward and start speaking plenty of grammar. All right, so to make use of components, components help you to build module-based applications. Like for instance, you see now, this is my app.vue. On this place, I called this component this way, the name of the component with in this form, in the tag form. But before doing that, I have to import the component in my script tag this way. You get, using the import keyword, import hello world view, which is the name of the component from the particular directory where I saved the component file. Do you get it? So from here, which is this components, in the components directory, the components folder, I have the hello world.view, which is this. All right. So doing this, props, one of the things we'll learn today is how to use props. So you use props to accept values in your components, and you also use props to send value to a particular component. For instance, this my app.view is a parent component of the child component, which is hello world. So hello world is imported into the parent component, into the main component. So the main component is known as the parent component, whereby the component you are importing is known as the child component. Do you get? Do you understand that? If you understand the explanation I just made, just respond in the chat box and say, yes, I understand. All right, amazing. So we can proceed. So in the child component, I'll go back to the child component, which is the hello world. Inside the child component, I want to make use of, in my template, let me expand it. You notice inside the child component, there is a variable called MSG, which is message. Let me just call it message instead of calling it MSG. Message. You get? And this message, I want this message to be whatsoever thing that is being passed to it from the parent component. So to use that, I will have to come in here and declare props. I will have to say props message, meaning this component, wherever this component is being called, a message should be passed alongside to it. And that message will be a string. Do you understand? That's the essence of this string. This string is helping you to tell you the type of variable, the variable type. That's what it's trying to say. Meaning whatever thing I'm passing to message should be a string. It shouldn't be a boolean, either true or false. I want it to be a string. Do you get? All right. So that is that. So you notice here, we are having a blank screen because we've not passed our props to this particular child component. So let's just use it. MSG then from our parent component, let's pass the keyword. So when calling the component, after calling the name of the component to the tag, you send an attribute, which is the attribute now is now going to be the particular props you want to pass. You could either do this MSG equal to welcome to of class. Somebody said I should come again. Okay, Tendo. Tendo, which parts do you want me to repeat? Just which part are you, where are you lost? Like just type it. Let me know. So if you notice the value I sent, welcome to our Vue class, was the message from the parent. This is it. From the parent component. This is our main component, which is the app.vue. And I imported this component into it, and then I sent a property like a props, a value, a variable that has this content type string. Welcome to our Vue class. So props is used to send message, to interact, or to send data rather from one component to another component. So do we all understand what props, what a prop is in VueJs? Do we understand that? Do we understand what a prop is in VueJs? So I can move to the next thing we need. Amazing. Okay. Nice. Somebody else? Tendo. Amazing. Yes. Okay. So now we've already known what a prop is in VueJS, because prop is used to send data from one component to another. So you could choose to say from a parent component to a child component. Okay, someone is asking a question. Sir, in Vue, we must. All right, we'll attend to these questions after we've finished handling all of these things. Do you get? So that we can touch all of these other features. But to just answer it quickly, we must have two components, right? Like the parent, it's not a must. You could choose to do all of your coding in one place without having them in bits, like without creating different components. Do you get? But components help you to make your codes understandable, and it helps you have module-based application. For instance, you could have different components in one particular place. While you are working on a particular component, it wouldn't affect the other components. Like, do you get? Yes, so that's what basically components are used for. Components are just called, if you are used to React JS or bootstrapping, there's something they call templating. Like you insert templating in each of your file. So that's what components help you to do. So the next thing I would like us to talk about now is methods. So how many of us here know what a method is? What is a method? What is a method? Just like tell me should I say in 4 words, like in a sentence, tell me what a method is. You can put it in the chat. So methods, don't know. This is taking time because if I'm waiting for a response, I'm going to wait for a very long time before. Exactly. Yeah, me, thank you. So methods are basically like for functions. So method is built-in functions. Thank you, Eke Timothy. Exactly. Yes. So you use methods to create functions. Like, do you understand? So just like the way you have components here, you know, under your script, you have after the export on line 8, you have name, the name of the app, isn't it? The name of the components rather. Then you have components, for instance, components you want to import. So there's another word called method. Can you see it? Did you guys see it? So we finished discussing about props, right? So the next thing I want us to discuss about is methods. So methods help you to, yes, built-in function. Ianu said function in an object. Okay, yes, that's good. So comprehensively, like if you want to explain what methods is, methods helps you to hold all of your functions. Do you get? It helps you to hold all of your functions. For instance, now, you could, let's create a function. Somebody just give us a name of a function you think we should create. A simple alert, I guess. Factorial. All right, so we could do a simple alert. Exactly. So inside your methods object, how do you know a variable is an object? Let me know I'm not using big terminologies. How do you know a variable is an object? So a variable is an object when you see those curly braces, the curly braces represent objects in programming. Curly braces, I'll put it in the comment section. Curly braces. We know what a curly brace is, right? In fact, somebody should type a curly brace. I can't type. Somebody should type a curly brace in the comment section. Is anybody there?
Yes, you can check the chat. They've already typed it in.
Okay, exactly. That's a curly brace. So curly brace represents objects. So inside your methods object, your method that is having a value of objects, you understand? So many people tend to see VueJs as a very complex thing, especially when it comes to all of this naming. In fact, Seth, let me do something. When creating your script, or you're trying to create an app with VueJs, just know that what you're working on is you are exporting an object. If you notice from here, did you see I just deleted all of this? Under this from line 7, what you have here is export default what object. Inside this object is where you have things like you now have a value. In objects in programming, I don't know if you've learned that, like object, array, and the rest. You have something like this, a property and a value. Do you get? You understand? So that is what you do basically in VueJS. You get? You see here you have name, your name is string. You have a component. Component is in form of object. It has other components support. Likewise, same thing with methods. So for methods, you have the name of your method. Somebody said we should call our method simple alert. Simple alert. So what you do is that you will say your simple alert is what? It's going to be a function. Then you do this. Then you bring in the curly braces. The curly braces is so that you can put what and what you want to happen here. Like here we can say alert something, anything or whatsoever. So are we following? Are we following? Like, are we getting it? So methods are basically used to help you create functions. And this is how you create your function. Inside the methods object, you have the name of the function. You get first column, then the value will now be function. In normal JavaScript, to declare a function, you just use the function, the name of the function, you understand? So this is, you're passing this function to this, which is the name of the function, simple alert. So whatever thing you want to do, you do it here at this place. Like for instance, you could have a block of code, some block of codes here. That is what you basically use methods to do. So let's alert something quickly. So we can say, how do we alert? Should we console or we should alert? Which one should we do? Respond in the chat. Should we alert or we should console? What's the difference between console and alert? Let me be very sure that you understand what I'm saying. Alert, alert. Okay. So how do we alert in JavaScript? Console shows in the developer tools. Exactly, yes, Eki, that's the difference. Console, you console in the developers tool, then alert pops up from the browser. So how do you alert in JavaScript? A quick one, somebody. Exactly, alert, open brackets, codes. So where you have codes is where you put whatever thing you want to alert. So let's do that now. Alert pops up on your screen. Exactly, yes, you're correct, Bololope. So let's alert something. Alert. Alert. So what do we alert? Yeah, we are here. So I want us to alert, yes, we are here. Exactly. So now that we have created this function and we've told it to alert, yes, we are here whenever it is being called, right? So the next thing I want to ask now is, how do we call this function in our app? How do we call this function now in our app? So to call a function in your app, what you do, you just go to that particular place, your template. So there are different ways you can call a function. One of the ways to call a function is how? How do you call a function? Somebody should respond on the chat. How do you call a function? I've already told you where you call the function. One of the place. It's not as if that's the only place though. Oh, no response. All right, so one of the places where you can call your function is in the templates section. And another place where you can call your function is where? Also in the method. Like, do you get? So you can call in your script, rather, in your script and your method, you can call another function from your method though. So in your script, you can call a particular function. Do you get? So in the script, there's a section called mounted. How many of us know what a mounted is? What do I mean by mounted? Can anybody just quickly, while I'm typing, just tell me? I'll check the chat though. Just tell me what you understand by this keyword mounted. Let me type it. What do you know by mounted? When I say mounted, what do I mean? Can anybody hear me at all? Manuela, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Whoa.
Okay, hello Siri, we can't hear you, please. Okay, I think it's a general problem. Sorry, it's not a general problem. I think it's from Stereo. Yeah, Amaka. So I think he will join us shortly, but he left the call. I think his network is having network glitch. So guys, please just be patient in a few minutes. Just like 3 minutes or two. Thank you. Okay, so please, guys, really apologize, please, for the network. So it's network issues. Sorry, please, we apologize once again. So your instructor is back on the call. So Siri, please, you can unmute yours. Ms. Amaka, please, can you give him permission to unmute himself so he can share his screen and continue the class? So apologies once again, guys, for the interruption. Thank you. So Ms. Amaka, please, can you grant him permission to speak?
All right, so can you hear me? I'm very sorry about the break. My network, I don't know why it's not stable.
Yes, we can hear you.
Emanuela,
Please,
can you hear
go
me
on.
now? All right, amazing. So let me share my screen immediately so that we can continue. All right, so can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. We can. You can go on.
All right, so I said mounted. I was asking a question. What do we understand by mounted? By the word, the keyword, I said mounted. What do we understand? Somebody should quickly respond via the chat. Okay, I really don't understand. I really don't know. Okay, so mounted in an app life cycle, there's something they call the life to place on something. Okay, you tried, but that's not it, Yemi. All right, well done. So in the life cycle of an application, there's something they call life cycle of an application. Basically, by life cycle, I mean when you click on, for instance, when you hit an app from your phone, the app loads, right? So the loading of that app is called mounted. Like when an app is mounted, meaning when it's finished loading on your phone or on your browser, it's called mounted. So before it loads on your browser, there's another thing called created. So it is like a feature in VueJs. VueJs was built in that way so that you'll be able to capture all of these events, all of this happening during the process of an app. For instance, you might be using an app and you want to say that whenever users load my app, in fact, before the full screen display, I want you to do some things. Meaning, you will say before you can do all of those functionalities in the section called created. You get, so just like the way I created mounted, you can have another one called created, meaning when the app is creating. For instance, I want you to, for instance, help me check what type of device the user is using. You get, so there are some things you can't access in created because it has not fully loaded the app. I don't know. Can you hear me, Manuela? Let me be sure I'm not speaking to myself again.
Yes, we can hear you. We can.
All right,
Yes.
amazing, amazing. So there are some things you can access in the created aspect, and there are some things you can access when the app is mounted. For instance, when you are saying created in the life cycle of your application, you can't access, there is a keyword called this, like this. For instance, I don't know if you guys have learned that though. There's something called this. this THITH, something like this. Yes, this helps you to this means you are trying to call these components. You want to access some features in these components. Basically, it could be like a DOM, by DOM I mean like an HTML DOM tag. You understand, the DOM of a tag. You understand me? So that can be accessible through mounted, but in created, you can't have access to that. So to call our function, we can just basically say on mounted, call simple, you could see it's even suggesting it for us. Simple alert. Simple alert. So unmounted, we can call the function, or we can just basically say, oh, we're having an error. Who can guess why we're having this error? A syntax error, unexpected keyword, this. So while you are coding, you always look out for error. So you can see on my other right hand, or the other right hand side, like it's telling me the particular error, unexpected token, comma, expected. It's expecting a curly brace where on line what? Okay, I see. So this is interesting. It's good we're having all of these errors so that we'll also learn on or from it rather. Okay. So if this is what we'll do now, let's call our function in a different way first. Then later when we get to computed, I will use this mounted guy. Then you guys will understand some other things. All right. So let's just go ahead. So let's, for instance, now let's go to line. Can you still hear me, Manuela? Let me be sure I'm still in the call.
Yes, I can hear you. You can go on.
All right, amazing. So now let's say, for instance, H2, let's call our function here. So in fact, instead of alerting, let's return. Do we know what the return keyword is used for in a function? Hello, are we here? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can just go on, please. We can hear you.
So what is the return function used for in JavaScript basically? Somebody should respond in the chat. Somebody, Yemi always responds very fast. All right, so whenever you are using a return function in a function, it means you are done with whatsoever thing you are doing in that particular function. So the moment you call return, that means you are sending something. For instance, I could choose to, in a function, and say, let a like a variable name, let's give a variable name, a variable be equal to 1. Then we can say let b variable be equal to 2. So the moment I say return, or no, then let's say let me explain something. Let's see variable be equal to a variable plus b variable. Are you getting it? So the moment I say this, I'm done with all of this, and I now say return C variable. Return C variable. At this point, this function is done doing all of the things it has been called. New function basically from the English word function means you have to do some certain things you get. So when I call this keyword return, that means I am done completely with all of the activities that is supposed to be carried out in this particular function. Do you get? So now let's go here to call our function. So remember, I don't know if you guys have learned what we call data binding in VueJs. Have you guys learned data binding? Do you guys know what data binding is? Please respond quickly. Let me proceed. Let me know. No, Yemi said no. All right, data binding in VueJs is used to display data in your template tag. Do you get? So for instance, now, if I want to display this variable or data in my VueJs, what I do is that I bind the data, like, you see what I'm saying, bind, as if I want to bind, bind the spirit. Hey, okay. So you bind data by the keyword bind, meaning you join data. You just VueJs has this feature that it allows you to do data binding, meaning you can whatever thing that is in your variable can automatically just appear here. So like here now, we can just say simple alert. We can call our function now, for instance, simple alert. Data binding means, thank you. This explanation just came to my mind. So data binding, I mean, you can bind your JavaScript together with your HTML. Do you guys get it? Do you understand the explanation? If you understand, please just respond quickly. Do you understand what I mean by joining your JavaScript? Exactly, Yemi. Nice. So that's what I meant by data binding. And data binding also mean being able to display your, basically, I'm just using a normal terminology, like a market woman terminology for you to understand. It's not as if when you check Google, there are plenty of big grammars they use for the definition of data binding. But I'm just using this to explain the concept of it so that when you go back home after this session, you do all of your research, you understand what they mean by data binding. So simple alert, let's call our function here. Simple alert. Oh, it's not alerting. So if you notice there's an error in this place, I didn't add the L. So our simple alert is supposed to return what? We told our simple alert to return the calculation. If you can see on the screen, it returns 3. Can you see that word 3 there on the screen? If you can see it, say yes, I can see it, or let me know so we can progress. Can you see it? The yes, is it that you can see it? All right, I believe so. Okay. So you see now, I called this function here. Why you are seeing it under here is because all of these things here, can you see what I'm selecting with my cursor? Can you see what I just selected on the right-hand side of our browser? If you can see, just say, yes, I can see it. Emanuela, can you hear me? Emanuela, can you hear me? Okay. All right. So all of these things you see me highlighted here are all inside the component called hello world. Do you see hello world? That's why this number 3 here. Okay, let me put a string here so that you be able to understand. Our alert function, our simple alert function will 1 minute, please. Don't know my screen. This Zoom tag is just obstructing my screen. All right. So let's say our simple. Oh, you guys can see it already. It's already reflecting. Let me not make it too long. So it not be. Our answer for 3, okay, for 1 plus 2 is equal 3. Did you see it right? Can you guys see what I just did? All right, amazing. Okay. So now methods, we've already handled props. We said props are used to send data from one component to another component. And you can see here, from this my code here, who can tell me the property that was used to send data to the hello world component? What is the property that was used to send data from this app component to hello world component? Somebody quickly answer. Let me be sure that you are following. What is the name of the property I used to send data from the app component to the hello world component? MSG. Amazing. Yes, good. That's nice. So we are done with props. So we now went further to we've seen how to create methods. We've seen what methods is used for. Method is basically used to house all of our functions. If we want to create another function, we come down here and create the function. Just put a comma and create another function. So this is how we create a function and to use methods in VueJS. So the next thing now I want us to go to now is called computed. Computed is another keyword. So if you have questions, you can just be taking them at the end of the class. So the next feature I want to look into now is called Qt. What is
Hello, guys. So I think it's network issue again, but I think it's back on the call. Yeah. So Siri, if you can hear me, please you can share your screen again. I think we're already past time already, so apologies, guys. So please, your instructor is having network issues, so he's joining the call again. So thank you all for your patience. Thank you. Okay, Siri, please you can unmute yourself. Thank you. And I think we're already past time already. So if you could hear me, please just unmute yourself. Thank you. And just share your screen so we can just continue.
All right. So can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Please, you can go on. Thank you. I think we're already past time already. So if you could just like speed up. Thank you.
Sure, this is past 10 already. Okay, so maybe is it possible? Okay, let's see. You can't cover all of it, maybe some other time. Or I will just drop a link somewhere. So where was I? What was I explaining? I think I was explaining computed, right? So I was explaining computed. Can you? So basically, there are different ways you can display data on your application. Let me cancel this before I go to computer. Let me debug it so that you understand what computer is used for. All right, so there are different ways you can display a variable on your application. So one of the ways is by data binding. I've already said that. I've already told you guys that what data binding is used for. So computed helps you to actually display data based on the fact that you want to do some calculations or you want to do some functional, you want to do some condition stuff like that. Do you get? You want to do some calculations, you want to check if this or this is met, or you want to display some data based on the information sent to you. You get, or you might want to display some data based on the changes made on a particular variable. So before then, there is a way you can display your data on your app is by using the data keyword. There's a word called data. I don't know if you can see.
Okay, Siri, we can't hear you, but we can see your screen. So please, you can speak. We can't hear you, but we can. If you can hear me, please. Okay, please, you can mute yourself and speak.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, amazing. So let's say these are the variable, first name, last name. Why is our code returning error? Can somebody suggest to me why it's returning error? All right, so let's give it some time. Maybe I don't know. It's trying to load. See, okay. Let's single quote. This is a single quote. Okay. Using function declaration instead. I see. Okay, this is Vue 3. This is Vue version 3. That's why. So maybe I see. Let's do first name. Let me just try something quickly. If not, I don't think this is like the best approach for what we want to do. But why is this a crying for computer here? All right. So guys, if you noticed, we were having an error when I inserted data. Normally, in previous version of Vue, data is used to house like different variables you might want to use. Like, let me come here. But maybe after the class, just take it as an assignment to go and check. In fact, take note, assignment number 1, what's the difference between the current version of Vue and the previous version? What's the current version of Vue said? Let me ask. Somebody should reply in the comment section. Current version is Vue 3. Amazing. So let's do this quickly. P tag. Sorry, P tag. I believe you guys already know HTML. So when I'm putting P tag, you already know what it is. First name. Oh, interesting. Why is this? Okay, let me see. And so what I would suggest we do right now, let us object declaration on data property is deprecated using function declaration instead. Data property in component must be a function. So it wants us to make this data now a function. So how do we make it a function? Do you guys see it? So if you notice, you need to be reading first name. Unexpectedly built statement. So basically, let's ignore this. There's something I want to explain for computed for you guys to see. So whenever you see data like this, normally, maybe there's a way I could even downgrade this to view. Let me see. What is this? I can even take it to view 2 so that I'll explain this quickly. So data is the red line you're seeing. So when you have data, you have 2 variables, for instance, first name and last name. Last name, let's say serial. and you have the last name Serial, then you would want to work on either joining the first name and the last name together. So what computed helps you to do is that here you put in computed, then and in computed, what you will do is you can say first name, then you call the particular variable you want to add as, what name do we give this variable now? Let's say wait 1 minute, this Zoom guys are shutting my screen. So you could just call that, let's say, the complete full name instead. You can say full name, but the full name has to be like a function. So you can say full name. Let's calm down. All right. Full name, for instance, now call the function. So full name should return. Then you can call this. You can do all of your calculations here. Like you can reference. You can just say this, like this first name. This return this first name plus last name. It returns the both name, like thank God Serial meshed together. Why is this guy taking time to load now on the right hand side? Wow. Code sandbox. That's one disadvantage of using all these online guys. So also take note, guys, when you are building your VueJs application, take note of the version of VueJs you are using, because sometimes the syntax might not, you might be having like syntax error because it might not be compatible with a particular version. It might be deprecated, you understand? So what I want to explain is when you have this, then you come here, for instance, you can say full name. In your full name, you can echo full name here. That is full name, the name of the we just created in your computer. Yes, so you can say full name, this full name, you can echo it there. For some reasons, this our code will not run because of all of this error and error, it won't run. But I would like to use VueJs documentation. I don't know, let me go to their documentation. VueJs documentation. So that you just, so I'll give you that as a reference. Go to VueJs.org after this class to read up on computed. What you see there, the explanation you see there will just be the same thing as what I just explained to you, but just that for some reasons this can't run on sandbox, on code, on this our code sandbox for some reasons. Do you get? So, but read up on it and you understand better. So what computed helps you to do is that computed helps you to merge two variables. Like if you can see this variable, first name, and this other variable, last name, it helps you to merge them here and return it as a single variable. So computed helps you to work on your parameters, like your variables per se, you get, without having to, normally what some people will do in JavaScript when they want to merge two variables, they'll just come here and say first name and then call another one and say last name. You get, normally in JavaScript, some persons will just output first name and second name and last name here. But computed will help you do all of the plus and minus. For instance, like instead of doing first name and using concatenation to merge your first name and your last name, you can just use computed to do all of it here and return it as one variable, which is called full name, and it will display here. I don't know if you understand the explanation. Do you guys understand the explanation? I would have loved it if this guy was not showing us the syntax error so that you would have seen it. But notwithstanding, like I said, go to VueJs documentation. There are lots of explanations there. Okay, Emmanuel, you say you understand, right? Oh, that's nice, amazing. I don't know if there'll be a follow-up class from this because I would like to see some of your code, like your code base. I'll need to be very sure that you practiced what I just explained there. So number one thing also when building Vue.js applications is that you need to be very close. You need to have the documentation opened in one tab, just like the way I just did now. Do you get? Because of the compatibility issues between Vue 3 and Vue 2. You understand? So some syntax that you used to use in Vue 2 might not work in Vue 3. And our code sandbox, I think I opened it with Vue 3. I didn't even take note of that. I just opened it. You get? So you can see here, you are reading the documentation for Vue 3. Vue 2 documentation has been moved to v2.vuejs.org, meaning there is a different documentation for the version 2 version of Vue 2, like, or VueJS rather, sorry. There's a different documentation for Vue 2 and there's a different documentation for Vue 3. So upgrading your Vue 2, check out the migration guide. So in the sense that if you are already used to a particular syntax in Vue 2, like VueJS version 2, and you want to create a new app in Vue, like VueJS version 3, do you get? So you need to migrate your syntax, do you get? So that is one disadvantage of having two different versions of syntax in Vue. Do you get? If you are used to React.js, for instance, React.js overcame this by they overcame this in what version of React? That you can't have syntax error, for instance, in terms of the way you type your codes, in the sense that even if there's a new version of React, your previous version of code will still work in your newer version. I don't know if you guys understand all of this explanation I'm making. Hope I'm not speaking so many grammar. If you understand what I'm trying to explain, please just respond in the chat box. Let me know that I'm not speaking to myself alone. Okay, Yemi Odeyemi said, I do. Who else understand? Yes, I do, sir. Okay, amazing. So now let me give you a second assignment. So when you go to VueJS documentation, which is this, I believe by now you guys already know this resource now. You already know VueJS documentation, right? You always, if possible, used to access it when building applications or when trying to make reference to anything. So this is it. I just sent the link on the chat so you can copy it and open it with your browser. So I would suggest you check it. So for Vue 2 documentation, it has been moved to this. You can just click on this, open it on a new tab. So when we are using a particular Vue 2 version of Vue for our project, so it's best to use that particular resource, like Vue 2 resource. What is VueJS? No, we're not discussing what is VueJS. So basically, when you go back computed, you will see what I'm trying to explain here. Amazing. All right, so can you guys all see my screen? If you can see my screen, just respond in the chat. So this is what I'm trying to explain. Respond if you can see my screen, please. So this is what I'm trying to explain. If you see from this documentation, what they did here, you can see this word data. Can you see it? So data was what I was trying to type there. You get, not knowing that code sandbox guy will not allow data to work because it's already using VueJs 3. All right, but that's not a big deal. So we can always just migrate our Vue 2 to Vue 3 anytime we want. So you can see in this place where you have data, so you use data to declare your variables. For instance, when you want to display something on your code, you see it, yeah, exactly. You see the way they displayed this, right? So where you declare all of your variable is called in this data object. How I wish this guy can be editable. You can just edit it and be working with it here. But notwithstanding, let's just move on. So computed, what computed helps you to do is that it helps you work on your particular, you see it, on this particular variable that was declared. You can do all of your calculation, permutation, every in your computed and return it as a what? As a variable, as a single variable, which is called reverse message. So if you see here, you see the way they now declared the reverse message, isn't it? So the reverse message will now be all of the activities you did on this particular variable. So basically, comprehensively, before I move to the next thing, is that computed helps you to work on your variable. Are we clear? Do you understand what I mean by computed? So that we can move to the next thing. What's the next thing I said we'll be talking about? The next thing is watchers. I think so, watchers. So I will have to remove this data so that our code will work back. Else, if not, we would have downgraded to Vue 2. Let me remove this guy. I believe it should work. Let me comment this guy. All right, our code is back to Vue 3. So assignment number, how many assignments have I given you guys so far? Please quickly respond. Let our class not reach 11 o'clock. I need to go do some things. 2 assignments. All right. So what's the first one? What's the first assignment here, mean? What's the first assignment? Let me be sure that we're following. Difference between Vue 2 and Vue 3. Amazing. Yes, Vue 2 and Vue 3. Then which other assignment again did I give? Okay, let's just move further. So when you are doing the assignment, it will help you understand some of these things. Look up on the okay, that's fine. So to the next is okay. Let's talk about ref. I wanted us to talk about setup, but setup is just like basically simple stuff. Setup, let me explain setup for you guys. So in Vue 3, there's something they call setup. Setup is like the first function you have in your Vue 3 app, Vue 3, yes, VueJs version. So the first method you call whenever you want to declare your data. So you can just come and say, you get, so just like the way we called method object, isn't it? The setup is, if you notice, it didn't tell us of any error because it's allowing setup. Did you get? Setup is like a first method you call in your Vue 3 app. So in your setup, you can use it to declare variables, and you can also use it to declare to house functions. Do we understand that explanation, or do I need to break it down again? Basically, in your setup, you can do all of these things you are doing. Like for instance, let's say let first name equal to Tango. Then you can come here and say return something else. Notwithstanding, so when you're reading up on Vue 3, you will get to understand what I meant by setup being like the first method you call whenever you're trying to start your application. So that's it. So reference is like, do you guys understand? I'm just trying to rush so that I just end this class. Okay, so reference is basically used to have access to your HTML attributes. Do you get? For instance, now, when you have something like this, I just hope you're seeing my code. Like, let me say you have an input element here with type. What's the next attribute? Am I correct? This is how to create an input element. Okay, yes, that is it. That's how to create it. So you can see on our page now we have an input element, isn't it? Can you see it? On our page, we have an input element. So in that input, we needed to have access to, for instance, the focus. We want to have access to the focus attribute of our input element. So what we do is that to have access to that, normally you use jQuery or CSS to say on focus, or maybe on load of the app, get the focus, trigger focus, you get. But in VueJS, to achieve that, you need to use something they call ref. Ref helps you to achieve that. So to do that, what you do is that in your input element, you add a keyword called ref. Ref, you can now give it, you say input, let's say text input. You understand? So to now have access to this DOM tag, like to this input guy, how you have access to it is that on your code base here, for instance, on mounted, or maybe here, let's just call it in this our function, so that we will not start speaking so many grammar again. So what you do is that in this function, you just declare, you can declare, let's say, just call, should I even use mounted? But I don't even know why mounted was not even working previously. So you can just say this.refs. You can say this.refs, like this.ref, refs dot, it automatically select inputs. It's supposed to even suggest it. Suggest the ref that we have, text input. Then you say focus. Focus. So what this does is that it triggers the focus event on our input element. Do we understand it? Meaning when this our function is triggered, like simple alert, for instance, our input element will be focused. Like, let me see. Oh, it's even taking time to load here. But do we understand what I was trying to explain? Do we understand what I was trying to explain with the ref? Do we understand? How I wish I can even just go back to this documentation to just use this documentation to do all of this explanation. But the documentation is what you have to your disposal. You can go back to it, go through it, and with the help of some of these explanations I have made, I think you'll be able to understand some of the terminologies they are saying, because for a beginner, you might not be able to understand all of this big grammar unless you have like a tutor or somebody, like a guide, somebody explain to you in this way I'm trying to explain it to you, like in a very more comprehensive way. Like, do you get? All right. So I think we'll come with all of this, we'll come to the end of today's class so that the class will not be a very long class. So if there are questions, I'd like you to ask, or maybe you can send your questions. I will see how I can respond to it, like after today's class. via email or whichever way. You can connect to me through LinkedIn. Yes, I think I do more of coding in LinkedIn, and where else? Twitter, also something about Facebook and the rest. I do something else there. Do you get? Or maybe via email or maybe WhatsApp. You can send me a message. Yes, on WhatsApp. Yes, I think that's also fine. Yes, so Emanuela, can you hear me?
Okay, yes. So as regards that, I will send you, they will message you on LinkedIn, please. So they will send you a connection request. So everyone, I'm dropping his LinkedIn handle. So please send him a connection request. And if you have question, you can send him a message on LinkedIn, please. So please, guys, I'm doing that now.
I think LinkedIn is
yes,
fine.
it's better. So please, yeah, I just sent his LinkedIn handle. Then also his Twitter.
Wow,
Also,
code is
so
ended
please,
up having so many errors.
sorry, please, you can send him a message. Okay, and if you have questions, please just indicate. If not, we are rounding up now. So please follow him on LinkedIn. Yeah. So thank you so much, Siri, for today's class. Thank you for taking our time to educate us today on Vue. Thank you so much. So today we are coming to the end of today's class. So please, if you've not followed him, if you've not connected with him on LinkedIn or Twitter, please do that now. So thank you so much, everyone. Good night, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
All right, thank you, Manuela. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Okay, bye, guys.